looks like we're still having people come in, so it's good. Maybe we'll give another minute or two, and then we'll get started here. If anyone is having trouble, it looks like everyone can hear me okay, or for the most part, I should say. If anyone is having trouble hearing, um, I think the meeting is running correctly, but there is the option to use your phone to call in. And the details are on the Facebook group. You should have access to it in here as well when you choose your audio option. So you could call in with your cell phone and then you can stay logged in on the computer, have it muted, and then hear what I'm saying as well. So I think Taylor, if you're having issues calling in, might be a good solution. For whatever reason, it might be not shown or with you not be able to hear. Great. All right, looks good. I know I keep saying we'll start in a minute. Just wanted to see if we can get as many people in here before we get going. And this won't be too long of a session. I think it's scheduled for 45 minutes. It really depends on how much Q&A, if any, we have at the end. I hope you guys do have some questions, but also hope it's self-explanatory at the same time. So I won't keep the slide deck going too long. We'll try to kind of cut to the chase, get to our product announcement here, and make it more about that than anything else. And I know it's a little bit different when you're on the web versus what I see. So I know I'm on camera right now. I'll probably turn my camera off during the presentation. But if you're having trouble seeing my slide deck in a bigger screen, there's, I believe, usually a pin on it. So if you want to pin that, it should make it the biggest possible as well. I know sometimes different meeting applications are a little bit different with what they prioritize. And again, Steven, one of my our CEO, it will be in here as well. He'll be monitoring the chat. So again, if you have any questions, you can throw them in there. We'll address them at the end. And then if we happen to, actually, I'll wait to expand on that for a moment here. Okay, so I think we have enough in here now. It's about 5 after 11, so we can get started. So again, thank you for joining. My name is Jim Reichard. I'm the VP of Operations. Again, Stephen Wang will be monitoring the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it if I can, but I'll likely will just be concentrating on the slides and then and going through the presentation towards the end. We'll do our best not to miss any questions. We'll try to answer as many as we can at the end. If by chance we can't get to everyone, we'll definitely have them logged here, I believe, and then we'll try to answer them all and post it to the Facebook group as well. We are excited to show an update that we think will really help our on-site measure partners speed up their process and hopefully reduce errors with the new technology we have been able to implement here. So as I get going here, I'm going to ask one last time. So far, so good. Can everyone hear me okay and see the current slide deck that is up? If anyone can just say yes in the chat, I'll move on here. Okay, great. All right, so again, I'm going to turn off my camera just for the moment so that it will help with any possible bandwidth issues. And I'm sorry if you wanted to see my face this whole time. All right, so let's make sure I got my controls working here. All right, so I'll go over our agenda. I know everyone's time is valuable here, so I'll just give a quick overview and then get into it. So this won't be too long of a presentation, as I mentioned before. So did our quick little introductions here. Basically what we're going to do here is cover our current solutions with on-site measuring, just kind of cover the lay of the land as most of us understand it. We're going to cover the kind of pain points we have with on-site measuring. You know, it's what we consider the problem space. Then we're going to go into our solution space, which is a newer way to measure on site. You know, that's going to be the fun part. and then we'll go into a pre-recorded demo, which is just a few minutes, and then we'll actually do a live demo as well, so you can see, how I can actually measure in the space I'm in right now, and then we'll tackle that Q&A if anyone does have any questions that pop up. All right, and let me make one quick adjustment here. These controls can be a little bit. All right, Stephen, I believe I allowed you to unmute in case you need to jump in at the end or during the time. All right, I'm going to go back into the chat so if I can catch anything. All right, so here's just a quick overview of our current on-site measuring methods. It covers most of them, I would say. So we have pen, paper, and measuring tape. Not sure if everyone realizes this. This is still the most popular way to measure on site. This is actually, from our business perspective, our biggest competition is kind of the old school way of doing things. Next step up is the pen paper, but now utilizing a Bluetooth laser or just a laser, a Disto, DeWalt, Bosch, those lasers you can pick up, on Amazon or in the store. Next step up from that would be, using an application, but still be using tape, which you have some folks do. They may not be as familiar with lasers, even though they exist, but they might have a simple application, MeasureSquare itself, along with their old school measuring tape. Next step up from that, where we live most of the time, is an application like MeasureSquare Mobile or our Windows version, along with a Bluetooth laser that integrates with the software. This is kind of the space we live in most of the time. It's one of the main solutions we offer that, I assume most of the folks in here are familiar with or utilize themselves within the business. Now, this fifth option we have here, a little bit of a mystery. This is what we'll be talking about today. So we'll get into that very soon. Now, just to now kind of analyze these a bit more to see, why we are going into this newer space, adopting new technologies, is that when we look at pen, paper, and tape, there's always pros and cons to everything. But when we're trying to look at it from a business perspective, we want to eliminate as many of those cons as we can. With pen, paper, and tape, plenty of people may be familiar with it, especially if you've been doing it for some time. But there's some drawbacks. There's it could be slow, it could be inaccurate. And one of the ways that could be inaccurate is it could be error prone. It's very easy to not get the right measurements with all the different things that might be slowing you down within a room, all the furniture, all those objects that might get in the way with having to use that. My penmanship is pretty terrible. Me trying to manually draw out a floor plan and then even try to estimate and get seam diagrams would be impossible for myself. It does sometimes, come off less professional if you're in there just with a pen and paper versus, a more a newer device like a tablet of some sort. And then it's also very hard to quote on site. If you're going to quote on site, estimation data is very key, especially if you're trying to be accurate and be competitive. Getting those numbers can be very time consuming. I'm very impressed with the folks who do it by hand. Just to say that it's a very cool skill to have, but there might be better ways out there, as we believe. Next step up, pen, paper, using a laser. We get some benefits, but we still have some of the same issues. It could be error prone, less professional, hard to quote on site, but there's still some benefits as we move up the ladder here. Increased accuracy, increased speed. The next step up, application and tape. We get some increased accuracy and some speed. It still can be hard to measure around the objects. There's going to be some learning curves with learning and application. We try to make our applications as easy and user friendly. We offer a lot of training, but there's always going to be a learning curve. It takes time to learn a new device for anything. But the benefits is once you start using an application, even with tape, is you have your digital copy, of that floor plan. You can manipulate it very easily after you leave. If someone measured for carpet, but now they want laminate or tile, it's very easy to do those changes within the software. It's easy to share to everyone else. You can then quickly get an estimate on the spot. So as we get, more into these more technological advancements or tools, there's benefits that can speed up the process, increase accuracies. When we get to like our current state of things with the app and a Bluetooth laser, um, it still takes some time. We really do believe in our application. We get a great feedback from users. Hopefully, some of them are in here right now. But still takes some time to measure out a house or an apartment, whatever it may be. It requires some training. Not everyone can just pick it up and understand it with all the video content that's out there that we produce. But there are the obvious benefits, like we've been talking about. It's faster, it's more accurate, you can quote on the spot. There's a flexibility of sharing it with the rest of your team. You can share it to someone in the office to finish off a quote or estimate. You can share details with the customer. You can share it, the floor plan, the installation guides with the installers. So there's no errors once you're actually installing. We've talked to folks who, because uh, they haven't been able to communicate exactly where things are being installed. We've heard installers install product in the wrong rooms because the homeowner told them to do so because they didn't have enough guidance from the office itself. So a lot of these things can be mitigated if we are using different pieces of technology and tools. So that leads us up again to hopefully an easier way to do this with an added benefit of little to no learning curve, and you guys will have a little bit better idea what that means. So as we go into our next slide here, this is what's next, or what we view as a possible future. What we have done is MeasureSquare has implemented technology and advancements from Apple's AR kit to support what they call Room Kit. What this does is it utilizes the Lidar cameras, Lidar system cameras on an iPhone 12, 13, and 14 Pro models specifically. So not an iPhone 12, but an iPhone 12 Pro or Pro Max. There's also some of the newer iPad Pro models that support this as well. I believe the models are the iPad Pro 2020 models and forward. So there's probably about 3 of those. And as you can see, the photo I have here, this is kind of a preview of what we're going to see. What you're seeing here is, you're looking as if you're taking a picture or filming a room. You can see the system is starting to scan and outline the areas. It's starting to understand the floor plan, objects like couches or cabinets, and then you can even see the 3D diagram being formed. Kind of very similar to the 3D diagram we'll produce in our own application. So what we have done is taken something that Apple has built, which is actually very impressive with what they've done here with object and image recognition, and then utilizing the LiDAR camera to actually get that increased measurement. So this isn't simply just taking photos. This is actually shooting probably millions of little dots and lasers to accurately measure a room. So the accuracy of this compared to like AR camera systems that don't have LiDAR is quite different. From the early tests we have done, it's just as accurate as using a laser, which is one of the reasons why we decided to implement this at an early stage, is that the accuracy has really increased. The interface is very user-friendly, which is a huge plus. The 3D diagram forms as you scan along the perimeter and outline so you understand what is actually being captured. And it's great if you need to go back if it actually missed something. If you need to like change your angle of view, you can easily do that. So as I move forward here, this is something we are calling the MeasureSquare Room Scanner. It's the way I like to look at it is it's as simple as filming a room. So when it comes to, hey, I need to measure this office, I need to measure an apartment, it's really just as if you're walking around and filming a room, and you'll get a better idea what that means. Now, some of the early feedback we received is that regarding how can this be applied to our industry. Kind of the obvious thing, one of the reasons we're here for is the on-site measure for reps. It will increase the speed compared to previous measuring methods that we just talked about. Accuracy can be increased just by reducing errors alone on top of the accuracy of the device itself. One of the very nice benefits is it will automatically capture doors and windows and other objects. So obviously in MeasureSquare, for example, you can measure out doors, drop in windows, measure those out with the laser or Bluetooth device. But this can do that all at the same time, so it doesn't have to be a separate step. And then one of the biggest benefits, we are big proponents of integration. We have plenty of integration partners, software and hardware related. This connects directly to MeasureSquare Mobile. So this is a standalone app, but it's also, I'm jumping ahead a bit, but it's also going to be a free app for the time being for you guys. So if you happen to have a Lidar iPhone or iPad, you can download this along with MeasureSquare Mobile, and they work in tandem. And we'll get into that some more. One of the other possible options we see in the future is possibly using this as some sort of lead generation tool. With how simple this is, and the fact that it's standalone, so you don't need to know how to use MeasureSquare to use this, is this would be great. This could be used by a homeowner or even an apartment manager to scan the space on site and then share that scan directly to the store rep or the MeasureSquare user, where they can just load that in and then do the estimation as well. So that might reduce some timely on-site measures for simpler jobs. There's just a couple of rooms and a hallway. This is a great tool for it. Sometimes I know folks have to travel really far for a simple measure. This might be a way where if that person on site happens to have this, they might be able to just scan it for you and send it over. This also might give some advantages competing with some of the larger competitors, maybe Home Depots or Lowe's, whoever that may be, depending on where your geography is or location, by reducing those on-site needs and utilizing modern solutions. So far, we don't see a lot of the larger folks taking advantage of technology like this, because they are usually, the larger you are, the harder it might be to change. And you might be in a very old system that works, that gets the job done, but it's from 20 plus years ago, and it's very hard to update certain older systems. So we're a very technology forward focused company. So we're always looking for what's upcoming, what's current, how we can implement that into our current applications. So we're very flexible in being able to add these things in there compared to larger organizations or even other software companies, that we compete with. Some of the other advantages that might be a little bit outside the scope, but are out there. Since it's a standalone app, it means that it could be used by non-MeasureSquare users. It could be used for just creating a detailed floor plan for homes or apartments, for real estate purposes, DIY projects, and just capturing other data. And it basically is able to create the floor plan for other things like renovations as well. So not necessarily applicable to everyone in here, but just there might be other applications that we haven't even thought out for this. So one of the things I'll mention at the end as well is that we look forward for anyone who's able to download this and give it a try to giving us feedback. We're curious to see how well this works for you guys compared to your current methods, and so on. So I'm going to jump ahead here, and then just before we get into the demo, which I promise is very close, is some of the key features that you'll see. Integration and sharing is key. This will automatically send the scan over to MeasureSquare Mobile with a tap. So instead of using like a disto that I would normally use for a demo like this, we're going to use the scanner app, and it's going to push it right into MeasureSquare Mobile on my phone. Like I said before, it would be the same way if it worked on the iPad, if you happen to have that. Some other options that we'll be supporting will be, if it makes sense for you guys, is emailing, once you do the scan, emailing that to a store rep. So if it's done by non-M2 user or MeasureSquare user. And then also down the line, we'll probably likely be able to share the scan via PDF directly in the app. So if it's just for submitting like as a lead form, we'll might have those options as well if it makes sense. You'll be able to save the scans independently. So it won't be tied, since it's not tied directly into MeasureSquare as a whole. These scans are in a separate application that can always be reused. So you're able to reuse the scans and floor plans if you need to create variations of quotes as well. There's also some very convenient capture settings. One of the main advantages is that if you happen to have this phone, it's already in your pocket, and you can utilize what's in your pocket to measure a space. I do see someone mentioned Polycam in here. Correct. Polycam utilizes a very similar, uses the same room kit. Our advantage is that it connects into MeasureSquare Mobile, because capturing on site is one thing, estimating is where the real power comes from, and one of our focuses of this application. You'll be able to toggle on what you want to scan. What that means that you don't have to, if you don't want to capture the windows, you can turn that off, and it will not bring those into the MeasureSquare diagram. If you don't want to capture doors, you can toggle that off. If you don't want to capture objects like cabinets, you can also turn those off. We've also already filtered out some things because it can capture like TVs and refrigerators and things like that, which generally most people don't need for our purposes. So we've already filtered those out, as Apple's done a good job of recognizing those different types. They understand what a refrigerator is versus a cabinet. So we have some of that control of what we bring in, and we'll be interested to hear your feedback um, on how that works for you guys. And then also the benefit is that you'll be able to rescan when something was overlooked. You can always just restart the scan or move around it again to see if you can capture a little bit better as you kind of fine tune how it works. Um, all right, so I will take a break from rambling here, and I'm going to switch over to a pre-recorded demo to give you guys a good look at how this works scanning like an apartment space, and then we'll do a quick live demo of where I'm standing, and then we'll jump into some Q&A. So I'm going to switch over here. Um, I know there's some questions in here, and like I was saying, we'll get to them at the end. I think hopefully some are being answered in there. I'm going to hit play right now. If someone can tell me if you guys can actually hear the audio, that would be great, because playing the audio with my mic, I'm not sure how this is going to go. So I'm going to mute myself, hit play, and then if someone can say they can hear it, let me know. If not, I'll mess with the settings and start the video again. So here we go. Okay, thank you for saying that. This is where the technical stuff comes in, which is always fun. Computer here. Let me see if I can get the audio to kick in. Okay, I'm gonna try this one. I'll try that first suggestion. I'm gonna hit play with my mic on, and then I'll keep quiet if it works. So I'm gonna jump back in the chat. Let me know if you guys hear this now. All right. I'll give one more shot here. If I can get the audio to work, we'll just let it play, and then I'll jump into the actual one. The audio isn't too important, I would say. So speakers, microphone. This is probably the internal one I should use, hopefully. Third time's a charm here. All right, looks like that part isn't working. I'll walk you guys along as we go through here. So we're starting a MeasureSquare right now. I'm creating the diagram, going into takeoff mode, and then I'm gonna hit the plus at the bottom, and you'll see where it says radar measure. It might say something differently now, but it'll launch the room scanner app, which we have renamed. We tap start scanning here, and then we're going to just start to scan the bottom of the room. You'll see some directions on the screen, and then it will start to capture the space. So you can see all those white lines as it starts to recognize certain objects. So this is all the tech that Apple has built. So you don't have to move too slow, but don't move too fast. It's just as if I'm trying to film the space, and it'll start to capture everything. You see it starts to capture like the ottoman, the couch, not things we'll bring in. It's capturing the doors. It's running along the top of the ceiling, so it's catching the wall heights as well. It's going to catch this bay window. You'll see it start to like kind of slow down, but then it will combine itself as it gets the full window, I believe. So I just kind of move more to the left, start to pan back to the right, and you'll see it kind of corrects itself. which is very neat. So I'm just going in I think a clockwise motion. The direction you go is not really important of what we've seen so far. It's just a matter of capturing everything. So the instructions are pretty easy. We'll see it just automatically close itself, which you could turn on and off. And now, just like normal, I can label this room. There's some presets in here for you guys. And then we can see the 3D model in here. We can kind of pan around, review it, see how well it did, see if it missed anything. I can zoom in and out. And then we'll see the options at the bottom. I can hit rescan if I want to redo it. Yes, this is being recorded. And I can hit continue if I want to do more rooms. That's the middle option. And then I can hit export. That will jump us into MeasureSquare Mobile. So now I just hit export. And now we're back in MeasureSquare, just like you're familiar with an iPhone or iPad. And we have our diagram loaded just as I use the disto or something like that. I have my doors in there. I have some of the windows. And now I can just drag and drop my products. I can make any adjustments in here if I needed as well. And just kind of continue normal workflow that you would with MeasureSquare. And then you know, if you need to build your quote, you know, share this with anyone back in the office, you're back to your normal workflow here. All right, so that is our pre-recorded demo. And now what I'm going to do for you guys is switch to share my phone. We'll see if any more technical fun happens. But now I think it's a little bit more fun that we do a kind of a live demo here, and then we'll jump into some Q&A. So you can show that it's not perfectly staged. So just give me a moment here to get GoToMeeting going. See if I could just join. Sorry guys, I'm going to just change one quick setting. As I multitask here, someone I think asked about large commercial spaces. Is a good question. We have not tested it in super large areas. We've tested it in our office many times, and it worked pretty well. It's just a matter about probably the distance to the walls, but that will be a good test to see if that works. So that's some of the feedback we are looking forward to seeing here. Just bear with me, guys, as I get my phone set up here, hopefully. Joining on multiple devices can always be a little bit of a fun thing to do. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing this. Now, let me share. Share. Okay, let's see if I get lucky here. I think it's going to start working. All right. So just to confirm, if someone can jump in the chat, tell me you can see my phone. I can see it, but I want to make sure everyone else can. All right, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to do a live demo here. We do not get commission if you buy a new iPhone. That's not our intention. So I'm going to just start a new diagram here, jump into the takeoff screen, tap on the plus. This is, I believe, the current App Store release. So now we kind of renamed some things from like the video we just watched. So it'll be slightly different in some cases, but I'm going to tap on the Lidar measure that says beta. And now it jumps into the Room Scanner app. Now I'm going to tap on Start Scanning. And I'm not going to go through this very perfectly. I'm going to just walk around. I'm not going to go in a perfect circle or anything, just so you guys can see how it works in these cases, to show how kind of not perfect you have to be. So I'm just going to scan our office space that I'm in. So it's a pretty basic shape, but it's going to get you a good idea of how it works here. So I'm just going to walk around. You'll see the lines start to trace everything out. It's going to start capturing the TV. That will ignore technically, though. It starts to catch the desk. You can see it's tracing the wall areas and the ceiling heights pretty well, which is what we care about the most. It's going to capture this window, I believe. It might think it's a door at times. We'll capture that door. As I zoom in, you'll see how it creates those automatic changes as it gets a better idea of the space. So depending on the order of things, you can kind of keep adjusting it. So sometimes if you're too close, you might want to back up, and it'll start to detect when it's complete. So from here, I'm going to say, I think this looks pretty good. Hit done. And then I'll say this is office. And then I'm going to tap on here and then hit export. So now it will jump me back into MeasureSquare. So you can see it did a very good job for this space. We have our main door. We had the little kind of brick offset you might have noticed. So this is not a perfect rectangle. And it caught both of those spaces pretty well. It added in the different windows. It did split the top two windows into two. I can always merge those together and expand it out for those little use cases that it misses. But I hope you guys get the basic idea of how well this does. The other room that I'm next to does have a angled wall, I believe someone asked. It works pretty well with angled walls. I haven't come across anything. We've done a bunch of comparisons between the laser and this, and does a very good job so far. So far so good, I would say, when it comes to those like really kind of common shapes in here as well. So okay, so I'm going to just switch back over my screens here, guys. So that's what I wanted to show you for a live demo. I hope you guys got a good idea how good that works. And let's see here, share. Let me jump back over to this guy, I believe. All right, so that was the, we already went through the recorded demo here. Let's not do that again. All right, so we're kind of getting towards the end of our presentation here. As it shows on the screen here, now it's your turn. If you happen to have one of these devices, it's already live in the App Store. You could search MS for MeasureSquare Room Scanner, or you can scan the QR code and it should take you directly to it. Again, this will only work with those Lidar enabled devices. I'm not saying go out and buy one. But we did just want to preview this for you guys. You can also look at the iPad devices that support it as well. It should work basically the same from our testing as well. This just came out this week. We implemented this. Our dev team did a very good job of getting this implemented pretty quickly. Again, this is based off work that Apple has done. So just to kind of answer a question that probably someone's going to ask, if this will work on Android, at the moment it won't. Because this is something Apple created, and I'm 99% sure they're not porting this over to the Android platform. And from what I've kind of looked into, unfortunately, not too many Android phones at the moment have LiDAR cameras. They may have it on the front for the facial recognition to unlock your phone, but not on the back side, which is where this is utilized. So unfortunately, for the time being, unless Apple invests, or Google or Samsung, I should say, invest into this, it might just be contained to the Apple ecosystem. If it does become available on the Android, that's definitely something we'd want to implement on our end. But for the time being, it seems it's going to be device and platform specific. All right, so I'm not sure, Stephen, if you are able to talk as well, but I'm going to start to go through some of the questions here and see if I can help you guys, see if I can go through some of these questions. Will this translate well to desktop? So again, this won't work on a Windows platform, but once you do the scan and it exports to MeasureSquare Mobile, you can then sync it to our cloud. And then if you have the desktop, you can will just open up just like any other normal project. So you can use them in tandem in that way. So since we're automatically taking what Apple has done, converting it to our room diagrams, you'll be able to open it on any platform once it's out of the room scanning app. And then we may have some ability down the line to export directly to the cloud or the Windows platform itself, but it's a little bit early to know for sure how that may work. But you can use it in tandem. So you could have the phone app, for example, and the Windows version. It will work pretty well. And then just to re-answer the hopped in late, which iPhones have this capability. So it's the iPhone 12 Pro, Pro Max, iPhone 13 Pro, Pro Max, iPhone 14 Pro, Pro Max. So it has to have the word Pro in it is the key takeaway. And if you're still not sure, just verify that device has LiDAR. That's the camera on the one of the cameras on the backside that makes this work, along with the newer iPad Pro models that support LiDAR as well. Those are the key ones. Likely Apple's announcing a new iPhone in about a week. That one's, we all doubt that they're dropping the LiDAR cameras. So we can just assume the Pro models going forward are going to have it. And you can always verify that when you purchase the device if you end up doing so, or if you want to check if your current device has it as well. Yes, for this recording, we will end up. I'm not sure if I can see. I don't think I have the credentials of who's in this GoToMeeting specifically, but we will post this on Facebook later today, hopefully once it's done rendering, and then and we might post it to YouTube as well. So we'll definitely get this shared out to everyone. There is the video, the demo I already did, like the 4-minute one we watched that was kind of silent. We'll have that posted as well for everyone to see if you want to take a look at it again. If there's a vaulted ceiling, it's a good question. We haven't tested it on a vaulted ceiling yet. It likely won't catch that curve, and our software wouldn't accept it either. So that might be a limitation, but that is a good thing that we can maybe look into in the future. Then this asset, this is an add-on to MeasureSquare 8. I also use Broadloom to sync customer info into MeasureSquare 8. How will this affect it? So again, you can kind of do this as a companion app to the iPad, iPhone app. So it's free. You still have to have your subscription to the MeasureSquare mobile app. This is kind of like a free add-on that will work in tandem. So when you use those two together and sync it to the cloud, then you could open it on another device just as easily. And as a reiteration, from what we've tested so far, diagonal walls are pretty good. We haven't seen any issues, but keep in mind if anyone does test this out, this is like an early technology that we're leveraging from Apple. So if there any feedback is welcome to us, and any adjustments we can make to make this better for you guys, we will. But we are depending on Apple's technology and kind of algorithms to scan the areas. So it seems like Apple is investing into this LiDAR technology as of recently, especially with the Room Kit. So I think they'll be supporting it for some time, which is great for us. Cool. And again, you guys can scan this QR code here to download it yourselves. If you have any feedback, I should have mentioned this earlier. If anyone is able to download this, feel free to reach out to us with feedback. You can always reach out to me. My email is usually pretty open. It's jim@measuresquare.com. But we also have an email that we'll see specifically for this called ar@measuresquare.com. Multiple people of ours will see that. So we can get feedback from you, take suggestions, see any issues we have with it as well. Yeah, and as a kind of a tip, when you're scanning, it's a good best practice if you do use it to scan each room by room. Even though plenty of rooms are connected and it may be the same product flowing all the way through, the best rule of thumb currently is to measure each room separately as different scans. And then if you do need to merge rooms, use the merge room option in the software. So a very good question is to measure each room by itself, even though they may be connected and have product flowing through it. You can always just use the merge option within the software to merge through the door areas, which is very easy. Someone asked what's the range of the LiDAR. I think someone answered, yeah, about 30 feet. So the if you get too close, it's hard for it to see. I think I would say like the view space is kind of what you see on the phone most of the time. You don't want to be like up to 30 feet away necessarily, but you that's the benefit of those visuals in it. You can see what it's capturing, so you can adjust your level or how close or far you away you are. So it's pretty self-explanatory after you test it out a few times. It's a pretty small learning curve. You'll get the hang of it the more you try it out. How much testing has done so far? We've been testing it for about 2 months, but with any application, ours are not going to be as perfect as the real world ones. So this is one of the reasons I would say just don't go out and buy this if you don't already have the device. Our Facebook community is a really good place where if anyone is testing it out, they can post their feedback. We'll interact with them as well. We'll be continuing to do more testing. I've tested on my house a bunch of times and it did really well. So far so good. But again, this is we're looking for user feedback to see how well it does. It's a very common way for software companies is like the real testing. The best testing comes from the users. It's always the real world that's the best to get feedback. Someone says, can you walk to measure if the room is greater than 60 feet? It might depend. Not every there's it might be unique cases depending on the shape. Like every room is unique technically, so it might have unique results. So if we'll try to test on bigger areas. I know we've had a few questions like that. Um, and as we get more feedback on spaces, best practices on how to cover spaces, we'll do that as well. And like we'll create some more videos if we have some best tips on how to measure like an office versus a hotel room versus a house. We'll make some more content, especially if we see more people getting interested in this. So this is a new thing for us that Apple has done. So the best thing we can do is learn how well this could work for our customers instead of us assuming how well it'll work for you guys. So your feedback is critical on how good or bad this works for you guys. Yeah, so someone asked, what's the technology called? Again, this is called LiDAR, like LIDAR. And that's the camera system that's on the newer iPhone Pro models that we are utilizing. So it's utilizing that camera system and utilizing Apple's Room Kit that's actually doing the scanning. Good question on this one. Will this save raw video for project reference as well? Currently, no. I'm not 100% certain if this does that. That's kind of a similar thing to what Matterport does. But currently, this is just capturing the space. It's a kind of a question we've asked ourselves. We haven't come across that yet, or if that's possible. If you're trying to create like a more like visually accurate 3D space. I'm not sure if the Room Kit's design is for that just yet. It also brings up privacy concerns, as well that might have to be taken into account if you're filming someone else's area. So good question. We're not too sure yet about that one. Yeah, and I know I'll repeat some of these questions. Will this work on the Surface Pro? Not natively, but again, if you have like the iPhone application or iPad application with LiDAR and our software on that device, you can do it on that device, but then once you sync it to a cloud, it can be opened just like a normal project on a Surface Pro. So if you have an iPhone Pro 14, for example, like I do, and a Windows license on a Surface, you can do it in tandem that way. Do it on the phone just for the measurement, and then sync it to the cloud, and then open it on your bigger tablet. Are we able to allocate a picture to a specific area for a rendering? Not currently. Also, a question we kind of thought of as well. At the moment, this is just a basic uh, measurement system. It's not capturing that exact visual data. It's just capturing the measurement details. I'm not sure. That might be more of an Apple function that would have to be supported. Not 100% sure yet. But that is something that's on our radar to keep an eye out for, in case, especially if we see that as a need from the customers. Um, we're not going to just implement something because it's there. We're going to implement something that benefits you guys. So we'll keep an eye out for that if we find feedback regarding that and if it's possible. Someone said maybe down the line, yeah, to attach room photo. Yep, that is correct. I missed the first 15 minutes, maybe. How do you connect MeasureSquare 8 and the room scanner so it pops the measurements into M8? So again, I know you missed it. So as to repeat, this is an Apple technology, so it has to be utilized on an Apple device. So what takes place is you scan the room or space with the MeasureSquare Room Scanner app that utilizes Apple's camera system on the Pro models of the iPhone and iPads. And then once that's done, it will automatically export into MeasureSquare Mobile on that exact same device. So it takes the scanned version from Apple's technology in our Room Scanner app, translates it to a normal floor plan that as if you drew it with a disto or by hand. And then from there, you can sync it to the cloud, and then open it up on an application like the Windows version MeasureSquare 8 or an Android device as well, technically, if you have one Android too. So it has to be the scan itself has to take place on Apple device. Then it can be uploaded, synced to our cloud into, and then opened into the other application. Down the line, we may be able to export directly from the app into our cloud, but we're not too sure yet on the possibility or the timeline for that. Yeah, so I mentioned they do 5 or 6 houses a day. Just trying to figure out this is for me. It's a good question. Again, I don't want to tell anyone. I'm not trying to make money for Apple. Have you go buy a brand new device. But the potential for this is for someone who's measuring multiple houses a day for sure, because we do believe there's potential for this to really speed that process up. So if you do have an iPad Pro, I think they mentioned. You can give it a test try. Again, the Room Scanner app is free, so you can download that app and test it out and see how well it works for you, which is very nice. So we're not charging for the Room Scanner application at the moment, so you can jump in there, scan it. At the moment, I don't think you need to sign into it, so it's pretty easy to download and get running. For multiple rooms, basically what you want to do is scan one room and then have it either auto complete that room or close a room. And then there's an option on the scan that says continue. So what you would do is scan room number one, close the room so it's complete, walk into the next room, and then hits continue. And then it'll take you back into the calibration mode where it scans the floor and then the wall, and then you start scanning. So it's kind of like an order of operations. Scan one room at a time, but make sure you don't enter the scanning mode until you're actually in the room. If you start to walk in the room as you're doing it, it might throw it off because it will start to capture a little bit of the previous area. Furniture recognition for moving purposes. Good question. It does recognize furniture. Right now, we have it filter those out. Because if we recognize a couch, for example, it will create an elevation, which would remove the space. If you drop in product. So that might be something that that may be something that if people find it helpful to capture the physical size of those objects, or at least the footprint, that might be a toggle we can add back in to keep those if you wanted to. And then if you need to delete them, you can always delete them manually yourself. When would it be ready for homeowners to submit measurements? Good question. That it kind of depends on the user feedback, and if we get people, if anyone's interested in this being like a lead gen or allowing a homeowner to do it themselves, please reach out to ar@measuresquare.com so we could kind of have a deeper discussion on how that might work. So all these additional features, we want these to be fueled by our users like you. We don't want to make a bunch of assumptions, and so we put our resources in the right direction. So if someone thinks this would be great for a homeowner to do themselves and send to you guys, please reach out to us with that email, or my email, jim@measuresquare.com, and then we could work with you on understanding the use case and see how that might work. Yeah, currently there's not an option to share that from the user. So again, we just released that this week. So as we learn, as I mentioned in the slideshow, that's a kind of a phase two for us on being able to share outside um, without sharing directly into MeasureSquare. That is something that's on the roadmap, but we do want to understand the use cases so we can do it correctly for you guys. How about the license holders being allowed to offer this for free to homeowners? Great question. So it currently is free. So we wouldn't expect like a homeowner to pay for this app. It's a one-time use likely. So that might be another option where it's like we keep the free version for like the lead gen purposes. So if a homeowner wants to do it, it can just be free for them and then should be shared as well. So that might be a nice option as a free estimate cost, as someone mentioned. And again, if anyone has these ideas that they want to share or get feedback from other users, um, you know, we do promote you guys jumping in the Facebook group and continuing the conversations in one of the chats or even posting on our board. The nice thing about Facebook is that it's a great place for users to interact with other users as well as us interacting with you guys. So feel free to post any ideas or questions in the Facebook group. We'll definitely be monitoring that and answering any questions in there too. All right, guys, we're going to keep this open for just another minute or so. I appreciate everyone who was able to join and stick around for this long. I know it's hard to take an hour out of everyone's day. It looks like we saw about 50 or so folks in here. So um, if anyone has any other questions, please throw them in the chat before we wrap up here. And again, we'll be posting the video. If you guys think of a question later on in the day or just in the future, again, please reach out to us. If you don't know where to reach out to, any support channel will eventually make its way to the right person. We also have the ar@measuresquare.com email down below here. And again, this QR code is a great way for you to easily access the app now. And then we'll share all this info with everyone through Facebook as well. All right, looks like people are starting to file out. It's lunchtime over here. Again, for everyone who's still here, thank you again for spending time with us today. We've been very excited to be working on this and share this with everyone. Really do hope this will help out on-site measuring. It's a very cool technology from Apple that we've been able to implement here. So we look forward to see if this is a solution and a step forward when it comes to on-site measuring, especially when it comes to reducing learning curves and saving some time. Yes, this is being recorded. I will have a mini heart attack if it was not. And yes, we'll be posting on Facebook. We'll likely upload to YouTube as well. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and have notifications on, you should get a notification once it's live on there. All right, guys. I think we're gonna call it. Again, thank you for everyone showing up and listening to me talk for about an hour. I hope you guys found this interesting. We'll be doing more of these going forward throughout the year and next year. So please stay subscribed in our Facebook group, and we'll be doing more of this in the future. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.